Good evening, Raven fans, Oriole fans. Thank you for joining us here for the Ravery Sports Weekly Podcast for fans like me. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. There's even more content these days. If you haven't noticed, we've been busy here. So thank you very much for joining us here today with our Ravery Sports Podcast. Big week. October, I've said, is like my favorite month. January isn't far behind October, you got the World Series, you got NFL starting up, you got NBA starting, you got NFL in full swing, NBA starting up, uh, and college football and all that stuff going on. And now January, the NFL playoffs is like big time here. College football playoffs are going on, so a lot of stuff going on right here in the month of January, in the midst of this super cold weather, which is ridiculous. All right. So let's go ahead and get squared away. RaverySports.company.site is the website. So RaverySports.company.site is the website here. Definitely you can get Ravens hats, jerseys, Orioles hats, jerseys right on the website. App is coming soon. Hopefully we can roll out. Hopefully we can roll that out, the app on Super Bowl Sunday for you as well. So that's what we're shooting for, to go ahead and get that done there. RaverySports.company.site. Genesis Notary Services /Facebook.com. January 20th, we're going to do a Genesis Notary Services live stream. I think this is our fourth one. We're going to be talking about the notary business. Anybody out there, if you have any questions or beforehand, reach out to me on Genesis Notary Service /Facebook or LinkedIn or any of those social media platforms where we roll out Genesis Notary Services. So January 20th, Martin Luther King birthday. Apparently, we're going to have the inauguration that day, 11 a.m. We'll go ahead and do that. March 23rd is the MLB preseason predictions video. So the start of the baseball season, we're going to go over all the preseason teams, who's going to win the World Series, who's going to win MVP, where the Orioles going to sit, where all the teams are going to sit as well. We're going to start a little more baseball tonight as well, and we'll go ahead and get that squared away. Right after this, I'm going to be on the Drive to the Podcast Productions at 9 o'clock and talk Steelers and Ravens playoff games. I love those. I don't have to produce those. So those are fun. Yeah, I get just to show up, and that's all. I like that. All right. Oh, see Charles Harris. We are LegalShield.com. Definitely, if you are in need of legal assistance and whatever, the value is tremendous. Definitely go to, especially Harris Legal Shield. You can put it on Google. You can put it on LinkedIn. You will go ahead and see it. Definitely check it out. We'll be happy to go ahead and get your legal services package for you with that. All right, let's get to the bad news. The late John Facenda, the voice of the NFL, for those of you young guys that didn't watch NFL films, this was his time of year, a cold game in Green Bay. It was like 20 degrees outside tonight, and it was like 20 degrees outside Saturday. When the Ravens won the AFC North for the 8th time in the second consecutive year, not combative here, not a contest here at all. 35-10 over the Brownies. And this one, Browns going home. They're going to go ahead and get the 3rd pick in the draft. I think it's the 3rd pick for them this year. So Ravens going to the playoffs again, winning the AFC North. The MVP, possibly, of the National Football League, Lamar Jackson. Again, 16 for 32, 217 passing, 2 TDs. I don't know if he's going to win it. Give him the MVP chant there. I don't know if he's going to win MVP, but certainly he's had an MVP season. I got a feeling that they're going to give it to Josh Allen. But I think Lamar, sensational by every metric. Only 4 interceptions all year long, protecting the ball, even on the rushes, fewer fumbles, terrific. Derrick Henry, I was more skeptical than a lot of people been with the Derrick Henry signing, but I think this has far exceeded my expectations, even the high expectations I had. Let's give him. I think Offensive Player of the Year is definitely in the vote, should be getting some votes. MVP certainly should be getting some votes. I don't think he'll win it either, but certainly 20 for 138, 2 TDs. Whenever he gets 20 carries, Ravens are in the win column all season. I think they haven't lost a game. They've won 11. They won 12 games. All 12, Derrick Henry has all 12 where Derrick Henry's got 20 plus carries. They've won 138, 2 TDs. Does not seem to be slowing down. Definitely, you have backups. Justice Hill, hopefully you can get him back for the playoff game. Keaton Mitchell, solid again. Clicking on all cylinders on the ground game as well. Little concern here. Rashard Bateman, 5 receptions, 76 yards, 1 TD. Very good from Bateman. Zay Flowers has been missing practice all week. Went out in this game with a knee injury. Maybe they're just taking extra precaution, whatever. I don't know if we're going to have that as well. Maybe I think it's enough, though, for this one game to go ahead and win when you have Rashard Bateman there as well. So you may not have Zay Flowers here. Shout out to Dafiowe getting his 10th sack in this one as well. Kyle Van Noy goes ahead and gets 12 and a half sacks. Dafiowe, good work by Dafiowe this year. I think overall getting that double-digit sack total is big. Not a lot of sacks as many in the league this year. So the Ravens, to everybody's surprise, all the concern about the pass rush, you had 2 guys with double-digit sacks. You had Kyle Van Noy with, I think it was 12 and a half, and Dafiowe with 10 sacks. So good stuff by those guys. Bailey Zappi, yeah. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, Dink Dunk, not an NFL quarterback, backup quarterback. I think probably he was playing so they wouldn't win these games. 2 picks, one by Michael Pierce, one by Nate Wiggins as well. So not a lot to say here. I mean, they definitely got to get a quarterback in there. Deontay Foreman, not even their starter. I think they rested Jerome Ford. They rested Pierre Strong in the last game. They didn't play. 10 for 27. Ravens defense finished much better at the finish. This was the guy that was playing actually football for them. Jerry Jeudy had a breakout season. Look, after the criticism he got from Steve Smith, called a jag just a guy, 6 receptions, 63 yards, outstanding by Jerry Jeudy in this one here. Myles Garrett didn't get a sack, had 2 tackles. Possibility he's played his last game with the Browns. Definitely wants to play for a contender. He's 30 years old. Wants to see the possibility of him going to another team. Definitely some Ravens were already doing, fans were doing recruiting of Garrett. Of course they were. So we will see what the future holds for Myles Garrett. So not going to go too XO there. This was a smash. Browns didn't care. Ravens needed to win it to actually win the division, get the home game this week. That was important. 35-10. Closer early maybe than you thought. Took a little while to get the motor running, but this was never in doubt. Ravens defense, I do want to say, finished in the top 10 in the NFL. Finished 10th in the NFL as far as defense. That's a big deal considering how bad the pass defense was. Finished number 1 in rush offense. So at the end of the year, defense really showed up. Only gave up 2 points last week. Only gave up 10 points this week. Only gave up down the stretch. Really adding to the offense as well. 2 consecutive blowouts here at the end of the season. Now the real season begins. Let's beat the Squealers here. And we got a playoff game in M&T Bank Stadium. Amazon Prime is where you're going to see it. If you don't have a ticket in downtown Baltimore, the 10-7 Pittsburgh Steelers against the Ravens 12-5. The 2 best franchises, 2 of the best well-run franchises, I think, in the National Football League. 2 of the better coaches, I think, in the history of the NFL. And probably, I think, still the best rivalry in the NFL, meeting in the wild card round to decide who gets to go to the next round of the playoffs. As well here. Lamar, I think sensational. He may not win MVP, but look at those numbers, man. I mean, 4,000 yards, 4,020, 41 27 passing, 41 TDs, the 4 interceptions, over 900 yards rushing this season. First quarterback in the NFL history to ever get 4,000 yards passing and 900 yards rushing. You run out of superlatives. I think he got even better than he's been. That's saying a lot for a guy who's been a 2-time MVP, had a lot to overcome, issues on the offensive line, issues, I think, integrating Derrick Henry. I think defense struggled. Look, fantastic by Lamar. Definitely MVP worthy. This guy's just about MVP worthy. He didn't quite get 2,000 yards, but Derrick Henry, 325, 1927 as far as rushing the football throughout the year. 16 touchdowns. That's a lot. Automatic in the red zone. Anytime he got carries, he was productive. I think he was fantastic. I think they were also too smart enough to let him be the bell cow. John Harbaugh, soon out throughout the years, doesn't like bell cow. In, out, in, out. Hey, look, I got Derrick Henry. I need to let him do his thing. Whenever they did, it was successful. Almost 2,000 yards from Derrick Henry, from a guy that you got for, you're paying, people don't understand. You're paying Justin Tucker more than you're paying Derrick Henry. You're paying Marcus Williams more than you're paying Derrick Henry. Look at all the production you got from a guy that they didn't want. Mark Andrews down the stretch was terrific as well. 55 receptions, 673, 11 TDs. Andrews, I think, was terrific down the stretch. I think he kind of sacrificed himself. He still showed, though, he still has, especially in the red zone. Him and Lamar have a fantastic kinship. They're going to need it. They may not have Zay Flowers on this one. We don't know yet. He's missed practice again 2 days in a row. So they're going to need Mark Andrews. Andrews has been fantastic down the stretch. Fantastic. I think definitely not done yet. Mark Andrews, I think probably really on his way to being the greatest tight end in Baltimore Ravens history. Roquan is kind of maybe not as good this year, but that's a lot of tackles. 154 for Roquan. And to be fair, Patrick Queen was gone. And you can say whatever you want about Patrick Queen. Trent Simpson struggled. Malik Harrison was in there. You had different guys in there. So they had to rely on him a lot more. And 154 as far as tackles is a very productive year for him. A little bit more away from the line of scrimmage. I don't know if he got everything he wanted. Seeing more leadership from him as well, too. So I was really impressed overall. I think more, maybe not the super, super dominant, but it was outstanding stuff. Definitely the best, certainly still the best inside linebacker in the NFL. If he's not 2 or 3, maybe you put Fred Warner, etc. But outstanding from him. Sierra's husband, Russell Wilson. Russell struggled down the stretch. I think Russell was a good start for them. Go ahead, say hi. You want to say hi? That's her. You don't have to. Daughters interrupt videos. That's happened. Anyway, 242, 224, 82, 16 TDs and 5 interceptions for Russell this year. Russell, terrific. Earlier in the year, terrific. Good start for them. Down the stretch, struggled. I think Russell really is kind of what he is at this point. He's a better option than Justin Fields. He's a better option than Kenny Pickett that they had. But this is kind of what you're getting. Hurricane's making a good point. Maybe because he's getting older, he's kind of struggling down the stretch, maybe. But I think he's as advertised. That's why I'm not so hard on Russell here. But they're definitely going to need more of a vintage Russell Wilson performance if you're going to beat the Ravens as well. Najee Harris, I really wore out Najee, man, this year. Good, solid in between the tackles runner. I'll leave it right there. Definitely the Ravens. You talk about Roquan Smith being valuable. The good defensive tackles that the Ravens have inside the interior guys are going to need to get work as well. Jalen Warren is a good backup running back for him. I think he's a great change of pace. Kind of reminds me of the best days of Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard. I think that's kind of what you got there. So, but I think their run game is very pedestrian. I think they need more, considering you don't have a great quarterback. What in the heck is going on with George Pickens? I don't know exactly what happened last week in the game where he opted out or got upset or whatever it is. I don't know. I know they need him. They don't have a lot on offense. It's pedestrian. This is your dynamic playmaker, George Pickens, on offense. George Pickens, 900 yards, 3 touchdowns this year. Phenomenal at catching the deep ball. I think that's why Russell's in the game. This is your best deep ball catcher. I don't know exactly what the deal is going to be for him for the playoff game. It's interesting. TJ Watt, not quite as good this year. Clearly the best defensive player, though. I mean, I think definitely it does seem to be having an effect on him more this year, the triple teams and the double, because he gets triple team like every play. But he's having trouble beating these triple teams. But he was fantastic, I think, all year. You could argue he's still kind of like Roquan. Stats not out of the world, like the 17, 18, 19 sacks, but definitely still an outstanding player. It's definitely a guy you need to reckon with. Ravens still have had trouble, Lamar, taking the edge with these outstanding edge rushers, TJ Watt and Highsmith on there. Preston Smith is still there. Patrick Queen. So they're very disciplined, stay in the lanes. Mike Tomlin learned under the great Tony Dungy. His defense is very simple, play with discipline. And we will see how that goes. X factor. We're going to X in this one. The X. Rashad Bateman. You're probably not going to have Zay Flowers, although that's not official yet. So Bateman's going to have to step up. We know what we're going to get pretty much, I think, from Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. The wide receiver production has to come from Bateman, and he was good in the last game. Now, that wasn't nearly as good a team that they're going to see on Saturday, but you're going to have to see more from Rashad Bateman in this one as well. Let's X the guy with the interception taking the knee, Michael Pierce. I've had Michael Pierce bench for Tyrus Jones for 2 years. He's been terrific. Outstanding stuff this year by Michael Pierce. Michael Pierce definitely, look, nobody likes a big guy, right? Everybody likes a guy. Michael Pierce has got to be 360-something pounds. Huge guy. Not going to run in the middle. Definitely with Najee Harris there. Steelers are definitely going to try and establish the run. Russell Wilson there, running quarterback. They're definitely going to try and establish the run. They're going to need a good performance from Pierce at the nose tackle, Travis Jones, Matt Abuke, etc. as well. That's going to be the key to actually beating the Steelers. I think we beat the Steelers. I think the Steelers offense, I've been saying this, is pedestrian. Not really capable of really explosive. I think the Ravens do get some scores early. They can horse race them. They definitely can. Number one offense in the NFL that the Ravens have. Steelers are very middle of the pack in terms of their offense. Their defense is good, not great. And I'm not disparaging that. I think they're pretty good, really good, but not elite. Not enough to carry this offense. They're kind of in the middle in too many areas. It's kind of reflected in their record. Good coaching, good discipline, got them in the playoffs, got them a lot of early wins. They're going to get eliminated. Ravens, I think, win 28-14 over the Squealers. There you go. All right. The real season begins, Raven fans. Are you guys ready to go ahead and eliminate the Steelers on Saturday night? Keep in mind, Amazon Prime is where the game is. Okay? So I don't ever remember watching a game on Amazon Prime. In the playoffs, at least. I don't remember one. So interesting to see that as well. Al Michaels, the great Al Michaels, 80 years old now, if you can believe that. And Herbie are going to be on the call of the game as well. Herbie, I said Herbie, Kurt Herbie. That's the correct way to actually say his name. I didn't get the Big Five graphic in there. So let me go ahead and get the Big Five graphic. So we're going to talk about the five biggest games that were going on last week as well at the end of the year. So now we're going to talk about Big Five this week, obviously. So the Ravens are in a game this week. And so we're going to talk about the playoffs as well, NFL playoffs that are going on all this weekend as well. Still got to get used to the fact we got playoff game on a Monday night, but we'll go ahead and get used to that as well. Last week, Big Five games as well. So let's talk about that a little bit here as well. The one that really mattered, I think the Lions really sent a message. I think they exposed Darnold a little bit in that one. Really couldn't get going on offense. Their defense has held in a lot of these games. Offense is really good. The Lions. I don't think there's any question about it. They don't just beat you one way. They win these horse races. They win a grinded out game. They can win. That's saying a lot. I was really impressed with the way they played in that one. I don't think much less of the Vikings. I just think they're just Ken Darnold taking where they need to go. I kind of went back to that in that one. No contest. Broncos. Chefs didn't show up. 38-0 over them. They got it. Look, Chefs didn't need the game. They went ahead and got in the playoffs. Good action in the 1:00 window as well for the NFC South. Bucks actually win. Mike Evans actually becomes the 11th player to actually get 1,000 yards his first 11 straight seasons, tying the legendary Jerry Rice as well. Saints. They got to get out of cap jail. I hate to keep repeating that, but every time I see the Saints, they got to get out of that cap jail to go ahead and move forward as well. Falcons and Panthers. Falcons actually lose the game, so actually the South goes to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Panthers actually win, getting some more from Bryce Young. Bryce Young had 5 TDs in that game, so that was excellent stuff from Bryce Young. And the Bengals, I think, might be over the Steelers 19-17. They might be the best team not in the playoffs as well. It's their own fault, though. Too many slow starts. To be better than the Steelers at the end isn't doing you any good if you keep starting 1-5, 2-4, etc. All right. Of course, the Texans get the Saturday 4:30 window. It seems like that's the case every year. Chargers and the Texans in the first game as well. I think the Chargers are pretty good to go here against the Texans. Texans have struggled down the stretch. Didn't look good against the Ravens. Won last week, I think. The Texans won last week. Yeah, they won last week over the Titans. Titans aren't, they're going to be picking first. Titans aren't very good. Stroud, I think, has hit the sophomore jinx quite a bit this year. I do think with the Texans, they have a problem up front. That's not a good matchup here against the Chargers, where that's Jim Harbaugh's specialty, making sure his teams are good up front on both sides. So I do think that's going to be the issue as well. Chargers, I think, are going to win this game over the Texans. I think this is. I think the Texans. I think they're building something in Los Angeles. I don't know quite yet. Interesting to see what they do in the off season. I think also too. I'm gonna say this. I don't want to be remiss in mentioning this. The Chargers basically had their playoff spot secured. They played all their players. They wanted to play the Texans in this game. They did not want, because that was the only thing really on the line, whether they were going to play Texans or to play the Ravens. They wanted to play the Texans because they think they have a better shot of advancing against that was very clear to me why they were doing that. So I think, and they think they will advance. I do like the Chargers in this one as well. Bills and the Broncos. Shout out to the Broncos for getting here. I think they've had a decent season as you can have under their circumstances. Look, took a massive cap hit with all those guys that are gone. Patrick Surtain, you could argue he's the best defensive player in the NFL this season. Bo Nix had an outstanding rookie season for a quarterback. I think Denver is definitely moving in the right direction, not in the same class as the Bills. Bills, I think, are. I will say this. I'm not sure if this is the best Bills team I've seen, but they're still this number 2 seed. They still score a lot of points. There's no offensively. I think they're only behind the Ravens in terms of their thunder, their firepower as well. They run the ball. James Cook, I think, is an outstanding running back as well. Cooper, decent at a decent wide receiver, better than what they had. Offensively, they're fine. Defense is kind of up and down. I don't know if it's going to matter in this one as well because they're going to score a lot more points in Buffalo, I think, in Buffalo as well. Cold weather there as well. Packers and the Eagles. And this one, I think we're going to have Jalen Hurts in this one. I think he's missed the last few weeks. I think they were kind of resting him. He's back in practice, it looks like here. I do think with Hurts on their team, I think it's pretty much. Barkley, I think, has been sensational for them. I think the best running back. I think one of the best seasons I think I've ever seen from a running back was Saquon Barkley this year. 2 great receivers, A.J. Brown, Deontay Smith. Offensive line, terrific. Defensive line, emerging as well. I think the Eagles, man, they're really good here as well. Packers, issues. Christian Watson hurt. Dobbs in and out of the lineup for them with injuries this year. Jordan Love injured. I think they're limping a little bit in here to the finish. Eagles are really good. Eagles, I think, are really good. If they can have Hurts in there, and it does look like they're going to have him, I think they should win this game handily over a Packers team that's just not quite there yet. I think they're about 1 or 2 acquisitions away from being a team like the Eagles and the level. A lot of people seem to be conflicted on the Commanders and the Bucs game as well. They're conflicted because the Commanders' offenses look fantastic down the stretch. Jaden Daniels is, to me, the rookie of the year on offense. I think whatever he's done, I think he's changed the whole nature around, changed around everything for the Commanders. So I really like what Jaden Daniels has done for them. Terry McLaurin, shout out to him. What a season he's had. Finally, I feel good for him. Finally getting the good quarterback in there as well. Need more running game as well. I'm pretty clear taking the Bucs here. I think there's a lot of Baker Mayfield disrespect. I mean, I don't know if he's the best quarterback in the NFC, but certainly, look, he's been really good for them. I think they're, Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan is really developing for Tampa. I don't think they're going to resign Coach Brown in the offseason because Jalen McMillan, 3rd-round pick, is really stepping up to the plate for them. I think the offensive line is really good. I think Bucky Irving is really developing for them. I like Tampa a lot in this. I think I'm pretty clear that Tampa is better here in this game. And one more, the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Rams in this one. I thought Minnesota was going to win last week. I did. I really have been impressed with what I've seen with the Vikings. Physical, tough at the line of scrimmage. I think, like, what happened last week, I think the lights were a little bright for Darnold. That's kind of what I see. You got to have more than that. These games like that, you don't have the number 1 seed. Now you have to go on the road, as good as you've been all season long, and go play the Rams here as well. I think the Vikings should beat the Rams, as much as respect as I have for Sean McVay and company. I think Stafford should play in this game, play well. They should score some points, but they're really going to get hit in the mouth. Love the physicality of the Vikings as well. Kyron Williams, I don't like him in this game against that really good Vikings front, Van Gruffel, etc. on that team. Harrison Smith, I think, is probably the oldest. I think he's the oldest starter in the league. So I like the Vikings in this one. I think this would be close, though. I think this would be close. I don't think out of all the games, I think they picked the Monday night game as the closest game. Vikings and the Rams. I like the Vikings in this one. There you go. I don't think I played it at the beginning here, so I'm going to play it now. So the big five biggest games that are not Ravens games this weekend. That'll be our last big five of the year because we're not going to have 5 games on the schedule anymore. At the divisional round, a lot of these teams will be gone. A lot of the teams are already gone. So we'll go ahead and get squared away with that as well. All right, so we got the big five out of the way, squared away. There you go there. All right, couple more topics. We're going to talk college football here. Ohio State and Texas in the Cotton Bowl. In this one, Ohio State is going to go ahead. I think Ohio State and is going to roll Texas in this one. Texas, I don't think has the physicality to go ahead and match the Buckeyes in this one. I think the Buckeyes are the best team, I think, in college football. Their team, I like to actually win the national championship. I think they're fantastic. I think Smith, what a receiver that kid is. I mean, he's not even old enough for the draft to go with Ukuba and Henderson and Will Howard, and all you have to do, Will Howard, is just just manage that. They have Hall of Famers everywhere. Texas a little inconsistent. They did beat Arizona State as well. I think they looked okay. Ewers again better, but I mean Ohio State is really good. So I like the Longhorns. I like the Longhorns to lose in this one. I like the Buckeyes in this one. This one's pretty easy. This one's a little closer. Penn State, I think, is probably one of the better bridesmaids in all of football as well. I think like for years they've been in the Big Ten with Michigan and Ohio State, and they've really been a top 10 team, but you don't think about them because they've been like third in the division. So they've been having trouble actually getting out. So I think they are. I think I've said this already too, but they're the biggest beneficiaries of having the college football playoff, I think. And that was the Penn State Lions. I think their quarterback is so underrated too. Drew Aller, I definitely think he's got an opportunity to go ahead and play on Sunday. Notre Dame is great up front. We know that. So definitely that's a staple of the Irish where they're good on the offensive line and the defensive line. I think their quarterback, the young quarterback, is coming around. I don't think they have quite enough to go ahead and beat Ohio State. To beat Penn State. This will be a close game, though. I think this will be high scoring, tight, 35 to 28, something along those lines as well. They'll start out slow. They'll hit each other in the mouth, and then you'll see points. I think in the second half, once both of these teams loosen up in the Orange Bowl. I like the Nittany Lions in this one as well. I think it's the Nittany Lions, and predicting Nittany Lions and the Buckeyes in the college football playoff as well. Maryland basketball, Terps, did watch the last 2 games, which we lost. So they did go ahead and lose to Ohio State. That's basketball. They did go ahead and lose to Washington and Oregon. The Washington loss was a little bit more surprising. I think that's a long trip. Basketball travel is not underrated in basketball, where you can go ahead and do that. So that matters. You played a really good Oregon team. Jackson Circade is an outstanding guard for them that scores a lot of points. So they can go ahead and they're an outstanding team. I think Oregon is in the top 10. Look, they got all the money in the world to buy all these players. If anybody's like older and wondering why Oregon is so good all of a sudden, that's why. They're in the top 10 team. They're definitely going to be in the tournament. I'm not too discouraged by the Terps. Queen, I think, not quite as good in those games, but again, you're not going to get everything from him every night. I think like the rest of the team was good. I thought Rice was terrific in the Oregon game, hitting the three ball as well. So Maryland, I think, don't be too discouraged. Got a game against UCLA this week. I think they should win that game. Yeah, maybe worry a little bit after that, but I think this is an improved Terps team from what I've seen. So the Terps obviously making improvements there. Terps getting squared away. Definitely this week against UCLA. We are going to deep dive more when they play Indiana, Michigan State, etc. as well. Definitely after football gets squared away. Yes. Oh boy, we're going to talk a little bit about this. The drama that's going on at FS1 right now. So apparently there was a, if you haven't heard, I'm sure you have, that there was a lawsuit filed at FS1 against the guy there. I have his name there, Charlie Dixon. He is an executive at FS1, head of content, I think it is. And there was a hairstylist who was filing suit against them for sexual harassment in the workplace, et cetera, that's going on at FS1. So lots of drama. Apparently, what's going on is there's a rumor that Skip Bayless, the former host of Undisputed, is getting sued. Apparently, allegedly, he's been offered $1.5 million to this hairstylist for getting it in. Let's leave it right there with this hairstylist that's going on. In the lawsuit, it's named, it's been reported, Joy Taylor, current host of Speak, former show Speak for Yourself. They shouldn't name Speak for Yourself. Apparently, Taylor has been named in this lawsuit, accused of apparently using getting it in to further her career, where allegedly having relations with Charlie Dixon, who is the head of the network here, head of content, and Emmanuel Acho, who's also now the host of the facility. Formerly, they worked together on Speak together as well. So lots of drama there at FS1 going on. I have Jason Whitlock and Marcellus Wiley on there. They were on Fearless today talking about these things as well. They were the hosts, if anybody remembers, a few years ago. They were the former hosts of Speak, and now they're independent media. They are now no longer there as well. Both of their contracts were not renewed, etc. For that, go ahead. Gotcha. Their contracts were not renewed there as well. The former host of that show. So it was very interesting. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen that as well. Now, for those of you guys who wondered how Joy got the job, wonder how Joy did it. There you go. Allegedly in the lawsuit, definitely check out the 42 pages in the lawsuit. I'll say this, and I want to say this. This is. I want everybody to understand. This happens everywhere. This is not unusual. This happens. I was in the service for years, and the biggest incidents of sexual harassment in the military when I was in there, and I'm not going to speak to whether it still goes on or not, but the biggest incidents of sexual harassment when I was in the military, it was always sergeants that has an E6 rank. Maybe it's an E6. They're usually like 27, 28, and female privates that were younger, usually 21, 22, 18, 19 years old. Privates. That's what you saw a lot of. This goes on in the workplace everywhere. We don't know exactly what happened. I'm mentioning Whitlock and Wiley because they were the ones that were kind of pushed out because of this. So that's the thing. So I really don't like Jason Whitlock at all. But I can understand why he's talking about this, because this was his life. This was a lot of money these guys lost. They probably they pushed out because according to the lawsuit, Joy Taylor and Acho kind of snake their roles with all this type of stuff, planning behind your back and all that other stuff. So all this drama, and this is what happens in media. This is what happens in the workplace. This is not unusual that you have this type of stuff happen in the workplace when you have people fighting for millions of dollars, right? There are no squeaky clean anybody. People do a lot of things. There's a lot of money involved. This type of money change. I mean, and Joy Taylor, I don't know what she did, but let's even say it's true what she did in the lawsuit. She slept with executives or whatever else she did. This money's changed her life. These are millions of dollars involved. Millions of dollars for Whitlock, millions of dollars for Bayless. People are not gonna. People are that's money changes your life. So keep that in mind with all this while we're out here flaming these guys and flaming Whitlock and flaming all these guys and flaming these guys. They're acting the way in a lot of places anybody else acts when somebody else with so much money on the line. So just wanted to go there and let the people know about that. One more real quick before we dig a little deeper in baseball. Charlie Morton signed with the Orioles this week. The 41-year-old was with the Braves, signs with the Orioles. Not Corbin Burns, 1 year, $15 million. Somebody was making fun of me saying I was too positive. I would say it's a good signing because it is a good signing. Not a great signing, good signing. Charlie Morton's a good pitcher. I think he's a good middle of the rotation starter. $15 million doesn't bother me for 1 year. You're not committing to it long term, anything like that. I would like to see some long-term commitment from them as well, but they don't really seem willing to commit to do that as well. All right. Let's get to our top 10 list here. So we're going to march to opening day, and we're going to go over the top 10 catchers in let's get it back up. The top 10 catchers in MLB. Let's go over this quick before we get to our MLB tiers. Patrick Bailey is number 10. I don't care about his offensive stats. Don't care. Patrick Bailey is a terrific defensive catcher. Best defensive catcher in the league, and I don't think it's close. Definitely throws out runners at a terrific rate. Definitely was a guy, threw out a lot of guys. Bailey, I think, is fantastic. Offensively, I don't even know how much he's going to develop, but definitely, look, there's not a lot of catchers this offense. You got to put the guy, I think, that won the Gold Glove in the National League, Patrick Bailey, number 10. Guy, another up-and-comer, Austin Wells. Definitely like the lineup he's in. Doesn't have to carry it. Doesn't have to do a whole lot. Definitely can come up as terms of offensively around the team. He's got guys around him. He's got a good offense. He's coming up. Austin Wells, I think, on the way up. Bit of a protection, but I think Wells could easily be a guy in the top 5 or going forward. Shane Langeliers. This guy had like 20-plus home runs, if you didn't realize, like this. So I don't know kind of where to place the A's in a lot of ways in the sense. The A's, when I'm doing these lists, I had more A's than I thought I would. The A's this guy's going to hit for power. I don't think he's great defensively, but this guy's going to hit for power, not a whole lot of average. And I think I don't know where to place it in the sense of I don't know how the park in Sacramento is. So I'm a little lost on that as far as what he does there. But I definitely think that's a thing as well. Tyler Stevenson in the Reds. I think definitely some of y'all might say this is a little low, but I think he's still a little unseasoned. I think he's got a little further ways to go in terms of becoming an elite player as well. Good start last year, 15-plus, 16-plus home runs. Stevenson, I think he's solid all the way around. Will Smith, I think, is the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Besides that, Dodger, every time you type in Will Smith, like the actor pops up, Will Smith. But Will Smith, I think, is solid. 19-plus home runs, 80 RBIs. That's kind of where he lives. Solid defensively. better than most catchers in the league. I think definitely he's solid. I don't know how much better he's going to get. That's kind of why he's here, but very good as well. Yanir Diaz, same. Kind of like you're going to get similar production. I think he's a better actual contact hitter than I think Smith is, which is why I have him higher, but you're going to get similar production. I think you're going to get 20, maybe a few more home runs, a few more RBIs out of Diaz going forward. Slightly better on defense. I think also, too, more needed in the lineup that he is in. Sal Perez. We don't need offense. We don't need backstop. We don't need anything. We're just going to hit the long ball. That's all we need for Sal Perez. Outstanding power hitting catcher. Mickey Templeton, eat your heart out, right? Back in the day. That's what you get. Some people, for whatever reason, have a problem with this. I don't know why. Sal Perez, I think, is going to be high on the list for me. Doesn't have to do anything wrong. I think he is definitely just the best pure power hitting catcher. William Contreras, these three, if you put them one, I don't have a problem with any of the three, but it's very close. Contreras, I don't have him at one. I still think he's not very good defensively. That's the only really separation here with Adley here at the top. I think he's not very good defensively. He's good offense. He's a good power hitter. He does a lot of things well. Maybe he's a better hitter. But I think I got him at 3. Cal Raleigh, I can't put you one without when you hit 220, 230. That's it. I can't put you at 1 when you're hitting that low of an average. But he does everything well. He's going to hit 30 home runs. He's hit 30 home runs, 20 plus home runs every year. And he's really good behind the plate as well. I think his defensive metrics and everything are very good. Some of y'all might get me because Adley didn't have a great second half. I still want to leave him 1. I think he's still the best in all of baseball. I think he still, of all these catchers, has the ability to have 30 home runs and 100 RBIs and still be a good defensive player. He didn't show it at the end of last year. I think he was a little worn down at the end. I think like the previous year, he only missed 8 games. I think last year he played in all the games. I think you need to have him rest more, DH less in that guy, because he pretty much, even days he didn't catch, he was DHing. So there you go. The top 10 catchers in all of baseball. So we're going to continue on with this through opening day as well. Who are the top 10 catchers in all of baseball? Next week, we're going to do first base, which used to be much stronger, honestly. I think I was a little, I'm not as overwhelmed with the first base as I once was as well. So the tiers. So who are the layers of players? What are the layers of players in MLB tiers? Layers of players, layers of teams. Where do the Orioles sit? We're going to wrap that up here at the end. But let's go ahead and get started. The first tier, tiers of 6. 30 teams, 5 tiers of 6. Each tiers, good, bad, etc. in there. Let's start with the World Series tier, the elite, World Series contender, all these teams. The Yankees, I know they lost Juan Soto, but they've done everything else. They went out and signed Cody Bellinger. They went out and signed big money to Max Fried. I definitely go out and got Devin Williams to close as well. They did lose Clay Holmes. They're definitely elite. Definitely elite. They are going to miss Soto a little bit on offense, but I think they're going to come up as well. I don't think it's going to be so bad. I think they might have better pitching as well. Phillies, I think, is what it is. I think they have Bryce Harper there. You know the names: Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, etc. I think their rotation is terrific. I think that's why I don't see any way, unless they have massive rotation injuries, they're not an elite team. The Dodgers are the World Series champions. We already know what they are: Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. They actually re-signed Hernandez, which I wasn't, which surprised me, and they signed Blake Snell. They're definitely in the tier, in the outstanding tier. Diamondbacks are definitely there as well. Diamondbacks, I think, are the best team in the definitely. I think the Diamondbacks are absolutely in the elite tier. They signed Corbin Burns, and I think that gives them the best rotation there. I do like some of their young players, Corbin Carroll in the National League. So that's definitely a thing that they have as well to go ahead and get that squared away. Yes, the Mets are there as well. Look, you signed Juan Soto, and that's definitely the way that's going to go as far as the tiers go. Um, you definitely have one of the better. You definitely have one of the better pit players in all of baseball. They signed him away from the Mets as well. Edwin Diaz, I think there's a lot of good talent there as well. So you definitely want to go ahead and get that squared away as well. So, and the graphics not right. It says Phillies. I messed that up. It's the Guardians. It's the other one. So the Guardians are the other team in the elite tier. The Guardians, I think the really good. I was a little confused by them trading for Naylor as well, but Emmanuel Clase, they re-signed Shane Bieber. I think they're as good on the margins as any team. I'm gonna put the Guardians there in that tier as well. Couple more. Now let's go to this. The Atlanta Braves, not so good last year. I think some people like the lack of activity that the Braves had. I don't think they need to do much. I think they just need to play better. Some of the guys, they had a lot of injuries last year. Matt Olson got hurt. Austin Riley got hurt. Spencer Strider got hurt. Acuna. They got to bring some of those guys back. But I think they're definitely good. The Orioles. Baltimore Orioles. They did need to be more active, and I think they didn't. I think still that puts them way behind the Yankees, I think, as well. They did. Losing Burns, I think, hurts a bit. They signed Morton, Sagano. Offensively, they kind of just swapped O'Neill for Santander. They're good though. Padres are really good. Padres, I think. I don't know if they're in the elite category. They're still counting heavily on Darvish. I think it's getting older. Manny Machado, etc. Their offense, I think, is really good. I'm getting less and less overwhelmed with their offense. I used to really like it, but Cronenworth kind of struggled a bit last year. They didn't keep Kim in the off. The Bogarts is getting older. So, but I think they definitely have Jackson Merrill, I think, coming up, Tatis, etc. They're still out there pretty good. Astros, I think they're on a slow slide down. I think they're good, but they still might win that division. But I think they're, the chinks are showing in. Altuve, I think they still have their heart and soul guy, Altuve, as well. They have Vasquez. So I think that still makes them good. But I don't know if they're World Series level anymore, but they definitely can get to the playoffs. I think they're definitely a playoff team, the Kansas City Royals. Definitely capable of getting to the playoffs. I think they may have the best player in all of baseball, Bobby Witt Jr. It's fantastic as well. Their pitching is really good too. Lugo, Cole Ragans, etc. Really good. So I think they're definitely good. Red Sox, I love their young players. Love Trent Cassis. I've always loved Devers. I think their young guys are ready to blossom. They did go out and get Walker Buehler and some help for the pitching, which is good. Couple more decent category. The Brewers. I keep doing that. I want to think better of the Brewers, but they don't do stuff. They keep losing guys a little bit in the offseason. I think getting Chirino is gonna help them a lot. He's gonna be full-time left field. They're gonna move Yelich to DH as well. The rotation is good. They lost Willie Amos. Again, every year it seems like they're losing a key piece, like over and over. They seem to be, not getting to that spot. So I don't know where to put them. Possible. Twins, I think they have a good pitching staff. I think they have a good manager. I don't think they have a great team. I think they have a good team. It seems like people like Brian Buxton, more than I do. I don't get it. I like Correa. I think they have some young guys there that might sprout for them as well. Decent. Rangers, I think, are decent. I think they could be more than decent. I think they kind of like the Braves. A lot of injuries last year. Sager missed some games. A lot of guys missed games for them. I think Simeon not as good. So I think they have a chance to bounce back. They did get Eovaldi. They might be there. The Tigers, I think, have maybe the best pitcher in all of baseball. Terrence Sewell, I think that's enough to make him decent as well. They really didn't do as much as I had hoped in the offseason as well. Mariners, I don't know what's going on. They have good pitching. They won a round, but they're trading Castillo away possibly. They may be selling before they even get there. They're decent as they stand, but I don't know. They seem to like not want to take that next step. Cubs, again, I'm not as sure where to put them. Cubs, I think, are good. They did go get Kyle Tucker, which is big time. Is their pitching good enough? That's my big concern with them. They got to get Steele and everything back. Few more. Rays and Cardinals, if this is just a nod to everything they've done. The Tampa Rays, I think, make a way out of no way, right? All the time. And so do the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals have a lot of players. I think they're both trending backwards, though. Ornado might be gone. Newtbar might be gone. They don't really have the Cardinals usually have a lot of young players. The Rays traded away Rosarena. I don't know where to put them, but they're usually good enough where I can't count them out. Pirates should be getting better. The Skeens is fantastic for them, as we know. They're trying to get Bendar to go ahead and bounce back for them. They did sign Andrew McCutchen. I actually like that better than everybody else does for them. I think offensively, they have a shot. I don't think they're terrible yet. Giants are kind of had them in the maybe category, seem like all the time. That's kind of where I've always put them. They did sign Ames in the offseason. I like Patrick Bailey defense. Their rotation should be good. They just signed Justin Verlander. They have Logan Webb, Robbie Ray. I don't know. The Reds, I'm not as on them as other people are. Some people love Ellie De La Cruz. I'm pumping the brakes a little bit on De La Cruz as well. He was good in the second half, but I think there's definitely reasons to be optimistic. I think they're more trending up than down, but I don't know if they have enough offense or anything around that as well. A's, I think, are terrible. Thank goodness. Butler is there. Brent Rooker just got an extension. Lavallers, we talked about Zach Galloff, Severino, and Mason Miller. I'm a huge fan. I love Mason Miller. The ownership's a mess, so I don't know how good they're ever going to be. Last category, not good. Blue Jays, Nationals, Angels, Red Sox, Marlins, Rockies. Blue Jays are trending backwards. I don't care if they get Pete Alonso. I don't care if Vlad Guerrero is there or not. You're not any good. Their players keep getting hurt. Rotation is almost decent, but they're not going to win games. They're in tough divisions. Nationals might fall out of this category. Dylan Cruz is coming up to the major leagues this year. So I think they might get into the better category. Angels, I think, are getting better. They were really bad, but I think they're kind of building the right way now. They're taking some time. They got Solar, Travis Anad. They didn't spend a ton of money yet getting there. White Sox are a historic train wreck. They used to say everybody wins 50 games and lose 50 games and you're fighting for the last 60. They proved that wrong by winning 47 games. So they were horrible in every stretch. I think that the best baseball city in all of they've turned that terrible. Rockies and Marlins, not much there. Waiting for the draft. There you go. We'll see you in a few. I'm going to go ahead and talk Ravens football here in a few minutes here. Thank you very much, and y'all have a great rest of your day.